Warning, this video contains heavy spoilers regarding future Save the World content. If you do not want to hear about exclusive rewards, game mechanics, specific questline details, mission items, etc., then click off the video now. This video contains much more detailed information than any of my past leak videos, and I do not want people to get spoiled if they do not want to be. For those of you guys that are sticking around, enjoy the video. Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be talking about the Starlight Questline as well as the new dungeon missions in Fortnite Save the World. Today's video is definitely going to be pretty spicy as it does concern a lot of information on some future upcoming content for Save the World. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious Save the World really launched with a whole lot of nothing, and taking a look at the roadmap, you really start to see how there's really a lot of stuff that's coming in the future that there is to be excited about, but the main issue is that there's just, well, it's not here right now. Well, this is something that wasn't even mentioned in the roadmap directly, but it was something that was hinted towards the end, so this is definitely a pleasant surprise for anybody that hasn't been keeping up on Twitter, at demonjoefrance if you guys want to follow me. Basically, if you guys don't remember, towards the bottom of the roadmap, Matt just said, finally, we're cooking up another exciting feature that we're hoping to launch this season, alongside the other features mentioned above. We aren't quite ready to share the details on this just yet, but we'll have a blog ready to highlight details closer to its release, and that is of course what I believe we're talking about in today's video, which is this quest line and the dungeon missions that are coming with it. Now, this is the entire reason why I put the spoiler alert at the beginning of the video, because this is huge. This is an entire game mode mixed with tons of different information that we're going to be talking about concerning this game mode. So one last spoiler alert, if you guys don't want to know about this dungeon mode, you don't want to know about this quest line, click off the video. There is a lot of stuff in this video that you might not want to see and you might want to wait on, you know, so that you can actually experience it for yourself and be completely surprised. But for those of you guys that are curious, let's go ahead and jump into it. So of course, the dungeon mode. What exactly are dungeons in PvE games? Well, for those of you guys that don't know, basically it is a procedurally generated or sometimes, you know, handcrafted type of activity that allows you to run it multiple different times for either specific rewards or just for rewards in general. The best way that I can compare this with a more recent game is Destiny and the strike system. They had these handmade strikes that the developers make where you go throughout the entire thing doing different objectives, killing enemies, and then you finally end off with a boss that drops specific loot. And that's pretty much how I can compare this dungeon system, in the sense that it's going to be an activity that you go through, you kill a bunch of different enemies, you do some side objectives and stuff, and then you finally go to the last room, which will have a boss, and then once you defeat said boss, the mission is over. So that's kind of a brief overview of what this kind of dungeon system is looking to be, and what dungeons just genuinely are in PvE games. Just a different activity from your normal stuff that you can repeat for rewards, whether they be exclusive or just rewards in general. Well, I do have a lot of information concerning these dungeons, and I made a bunch of different graphics so that I could kind of explain all the details that we do know about this dungeon system that is going to be coming in this quest line, which is known as the Starlight Questline. So first up, I do have this graphic right here, and I do keep in mind that the majority of this information was leaked by iFiremonkey on Twitter. His link will be in the description if you guys do want to follow him. He is a Save the World and a Battle Royale leaker. He does a fantastic job at leaking this kind of stuff, and I've been talking with him a lot to help get this video out to you guys. Now, this first graphic right here, we have the list of dungeons, because there are multiple different dungeons. We have the Inferno, the Crypts, the Grotto, the Labyrinth, and the Graveyard. Now, as I said, I'm not sure if these are procedurally generated or these are handcrafted by the dev team. Either way, we still have tons of variety whenever it comes to these dungeons. We have 5 different ones. If they're procedurally generated, that's fantastic. If they're not, we still have 5 different choices. There's also a note that says weapon crafting will be disabled and dungeons will require keys for access. So if you do want to enter into these dungeons, you are going to have a key. And as we know it, these dungeons aren't just a side activity that you'll find in regular missions, but they in and of themselves are actually standalone missions. So yes, we have the Inferno, the Crypts, Grotto, Labyrinth, and Graveyard as the different dungeons, and each one of these are going to have weapon crafting disabled, and and they're going to require keys. Well, what type of keys are they going to require? Well, we do have a little bit in the game files discussing on what these keys are. We have a legendary husk key, a dungeon entrance key, and a legendary shadow key. But we do have 3 different keys, 2 of them legendary, 1 of them mythic. Very interesting. You are going to need these to actually access those dungeons. So next up, we have the dungeon completion medals. We have the dungeon upper floors completed, the dungeon middle floors completed, the dungeon lower floors completed, the dungeon keymaster completed, and the dungeon boss defeated. So we have some pretty interesting medals here, which go to show that each and every single one of these dungeons is going to have up to 3 floors. I imagine keymaster just means unlocking everything in the dungeon, and then it's going to end off with a dungeon boss. Now, what we don't know right now is if these dungeon bosses are going to classify as normal mini bosses and missions, or they are uniquely designed for dungeons, specifically something like the Storm King. And do keep in mind that this entire system is completely separate from the mythic Storm King and what he gives. So, you know, going along with what we have in the roadmap, this is a completely separate activity that seems to give specific rewards and something that seems pretty interesting. Something definitely to switch up the normal, you know, regular mission grind and endurance mode and storm shields. So yes, from what we can see here, we have 3 different floors. We have a keymaster, which means, I guess, finding all the keys, and then the dungeon boss, which we don't know too much about. Now, on your journey through these dungeons, you will find different booby traps, and these are the icons for these traps. These are traps that will actually hurt you. These are not traps that you place to hurt the husks, and instead, these traps will hurt you. They are known as the ceiling collapse trap, the floor snare trap, the hidden arrows trap, the secret door trap, and the teleporter trap. And these are the different icons for that. This is the first time that we've ever seen something like this, where outside of just like normal husks, we are going to be able to take damage from some sort of outside source like this. It's very rare that we see this kind of stuff. I guess the best way to explain it would be something like the Twine Peaks lava balls and the lava in that mission as well. But we have different traps that are actually going to be designed to kill the player, so definitely be watching out for anything on the ceiling, the floor, any hidden arrows, or any sorts of teleporters that you may find yourself walking into. Now, throughout every single one of these dungeons, you will find yourself going through different challenges. These are what's known as the Starlight Dungeon curses. Now, we have the Crypts. This curse says no guns. You are forced to only use melee weapons throughout the entirety of this dungeon. The Inferno curse is where player structures will take constant damage. So no matter what you do, if you place a stair, from the very second you place it, it'll be ticking away damage from that very second. The Grotto curse is healing is much weaker. So I imagine if you're playing as a ninja trying to heal your teammates, or you're trying to use adrenaline rush or anything like that, it'll be a lot weaker than if you were not using it. And this kind of tells me that healing might be a pretty big part whenever it does come to completing these dungeons. And last one, for the Labyrinth, we have find the talisman and break the curse. So we have a lot of different interesting things here, and I do believe that the Labyrinth, breaking the curse, I do believe that I did see from Fire Monkey that this basically means that you have to break a curse in order to revive your teammates, although I'm not 100% on that. But yes, these are the 4 curses that you will find. I do believe that these are every single one of them. The only one that it is missing is the Graveyard, so I'd imagine either the Graveyard doesn't have a curse or the curse has yet to be listed here. But from the sounds of it, this is looking pretty freaking challenging. Now, what exactly are you going to be getting in terms of rewards for doing these dungeons? Well, we have the dungeon banners for one, and do keep in mind that this is not all the rewards, but these are the dungeon banners. There are 6 different ones. As you guys can see, the first one looks to be a dungeon entrance with a starry sky right above it. The second one is a dungeon entrance. The third is a puzzle piece. The fourth is a sword cutting a vine, which is probably for the melee only challenge. The fifth one looks to be a husk with Storm King horns, and the last one seems to be a castle entrance or another dungeon entrance surrounded by torches. So this will be pretty interesting, and something that I feel as though a lot of people are going to forget is that these dungeon banners and banners from now on, you know, all the way from now until the end of Save the World, actually do mean a lot more than they previously did. For those of you guys that don't know about the banner shield and the banner cape and all this other kind of stuff, these different cosmetics that have to do with banners, you actually be able to earn these banners and then apply them to your character if you do have the banner shield with stuff like the item shop coming to the game. Banners have actually jumped up a lot in value, so these might be able to be seen on a lot of different players. I think that the husk with the Storm King horns would be something really cool to wear on my banner shield. And lastly, for the last graphic that we have the actual quest, and I'll be going over every single one of them. This one specifically was leaked first by @FortOfFans. He is a Save the World leaker over on Twitter. Definitely make sure to go give him a follow. Now, what the questline says is this. Now, do keep in mind that this is not 100%. Everything in this video is not 100% as they are only leaks. So a lot of this stuff could be work in progress, and it very much still is. But for this quest, we have destroy 50 urns and successful dungeon missions. This, of course, is clarifying that these are indeed missions and not just different side things that you can do in normal missions. We have destroy 6 husk spawn crystals and successful dungeon missions. I imagine that this will function similarly to the cube monsters in Battle Royale. We have deplete 6 dungeon rifts and successful dungeon missions. We have eliminate 5 mimics and successful dungeon missions. Eliminate 5 mini bosses and successful dungeon missions. And this is kind of where I'm in that gray area. I don't know if these are going to be the bosses at the end of the dungeon, or these are just going to be mini bosses that you'll find throughout the dungeon. We have get hit by an arrow dungeon trap. Complete 3 daily dungeon quests, so we don't exactly know what the daily dungeon quests are going to be giving us. Complete 6 of them, and then complete 10 of them, and the 10th one will give you a banner. We have complete a mission in the Crypts dungeon, and then we have complete 2 missions in the Crypts dungeon. So this one specifically is for the Crypt dungeon, and that's definitely pretty interesting. You can see that there is a banner associated with it, and there's also the Jonesy C-Bot. And this is very much a work in progress reward. I highly doubt they're going to allow you to earn the Jonesy C-Bot via this quest line, as you're pretty much going to have enough gold for him by the time you've already completed it. Well, maybe not exactly, but you guys get my point. This is definitely still a work in progress, as everything we've spoken about in this video, and these rewards and these different challenges could change, as well as the booby traps, as well as the banners, as well as the curses and everything in between. A lot of this is still work in progress, so definitely do keep that in mind. However, I definitely did want to bring this to your guys' attention. As you guys heard me speak earlier, yesterday's video about the roadmap, I feel as though this is going to be the best that Save the World has ever been. We are starting to see content that is stuff that we have been asking for since 2 years ago. We are getting a raid-like activity with the Mythic Storm King, with Mythic Storm King exclusive rewards. And now we are seeing that we're actually going to be getting a proper dungeon system. And this is something that it's looking like Epic Games is going full out on, as they're not going to leave any space for this thing to actually flop. They're putting in a lot of effort into it. There are 5 different dungeons. Weapon crafting is turned off, which normally means for a fun time, as you're going in completely blind and you're building your way up throughout the activity. There's different ways to access these dungeons. They also have, multiple different floors, multiple different keys and bosses exclusive to them. They have booby traps, which can hurt the player, curses, and tons of different rewards that in its current state are pretty much a work in progress. But I do feel as though that activities like this is stuff that Save the World has needed for a very long time, and this is something that Epic Games, as seen in the roadmap, aren't exactly wanting to talk about as of yet, because they're still finalizing a lot of the details. But from the looks of it, it definitely seems like to me that they have a lot of this already done and completed, so that we may definitely be seeing this season, almost guaranteed. I don't want to build up any false hype, but given how much of this is already completed and how much of everything is already here, it's really just looking like we might be seeing this very soon, and I am very excited to be jumping into this activity and taking a look at everything that it has to offer. Also, for those of you guys that are curious, as I didn't really mention it, the guy that's right above me, the guy on the left side of the thing in the background, he is of course the Crypt Master or something like that. He's the guy that will apply the curses, and I think he's the kind of in charge of the dungeons. He looks like Raven mixed with Destiny's Xur. As well as the background for this is the actual entrance to the dungeon, and I can actually put a clearer picture right here if you guys do want to see this. This is what the loading screen looks like for the dungeon activity. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I definitely did want to bring this to your guys' attention. I know that a lot of people are crying over on Reddit, and a lot of people are crying in YouTube comment sections about, how bad this season is looking for Save the World, but I do promise you guys, things are slowed at the beginning of every single Save the World season. It's been this way since about season 6, so nothing is going to be different this season. season. The only difference is that, you know, later down the line, we're going to be getting better content than we've seen in the past multiple different seasons, and I'm pretty excited about it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As I've spoken about on stream plenty of times and on Twitter and everywhere, a dungeon system is something that I've really wanted, and I'm absolutely ecstatic to go ahead and jump into this activity, earn all these rewards, and see exactly how it works from a gameplay standpoint, because it can definitely shake up gameplay and make things feel a lot more fresh for the majority of the community that are just playing the normal missions. But yeah guys, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this almost every single day, and I got plenty in the pipeline for this new Save the World season for you guys. But thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.